Hello, friends, and welcome to the Gray Podcast. My name is Carlos Cabrera Jr., and I am your host. In today's episode, we're going to be slowing it down, talking about something that hits me deep as a father, and talking about a couple other things and much, much more. So let's not waste any more time. Buckle your seatbelts, grab that bag of popcorn, turn on Kenny G, light those candles, and pour yourself a glass of wine. And let's get it started. Cue that intro music. Hello, friends. We are back in our regular studio, which is, again, my basement. It's just the other side of what we shot last week. The table's still there. I kind of like that setup. So we're going to get started with this episode the regular way again. No guests this week. I do apologize. I want to have guests on the podcast every 5 episodes. That's going to be the goal. And hopefully I will not have technical difficulties going forward. I got a new camera, so now I can make sure it's recording. This microphone is working. So next time I want to make sure that both microphones are working. I have lights now. The computer's working, so I'm able to monitor it. I apologize. I'm like hiccuping at the same time when I'm trying to start here. My cats are watching from the background. So getting this episode started, first and foremost, before I even get into any story, any topic, I want to first just say how thankful I am to have a fan base like you guys. You guys are seriously some of the coolest people I've ever had the pleasure of talking to, because you shared the podcast, you liked it, you followed it, you got more people to follow, you got more people to listen. It was our number one listen to podcast on podcasts all over. So I want to just say thank you so much for all your love, for all your support. Mykayla and I both got so many nice responses from people. So again, thank you. I do want to just say that we did have an issue with that darn microphone that we were using last episode. It was picking up both of our voices at the same time, but it didn't know which one was which, so it would cut out. And when it would do that, it like completely, when I was editing it, I couldn't tell who was talking, and it would go silent. So I had to end up using the cameras, which at the time was just my cell phone. I had to use the cameras audio, which my microphone wasn't hooked up to my camera at the time. So it was just regular camera audio, so it was choppy at times. So if that episode did sound weird, I do apologize, but it was great content. Mykayla was an absolute blast to have on the first ever episode as a guest. So again, I want to thank her, and I want to thank you for listening, for viewing, for sharing, and so forth. Going forward into this episode, listen, I thought multiple times, what should I talk about now? Because I'm getting back into the groove of it. I'm back where it all started, at the desk, at the gray desk. I got my tiny mug. I got my microphone. And I was thinking of the topics. What should I talk about? What should be the topic? And I finally decided that the topic that I wanted to talk about is something that is dear and close to my heart in not the greatest of ways. And that is this big issue that our society has with fathers. And it's not that fathers, dads, whatever you want to call them, papas, dadas, whatever. It's not that they don't bring it on themselves, because trust me, there's a lot of bad dads out there. There's a lot of bad parents out there. Okay. And if you're not a parent, I apologize for this episode if it doesn't really touch base with you in that way that you were hoping for, but it's something that I want to talk about. So I'm going to. And that is dads are looked down on in our society as the lesser important of a parent. And maybe I didn't say that correctly, but it will. But what I mean with that is when I first decided to start writing the blogs and start writing the experiences I had with becoming a father, one of those experiences that brought that on was, yeah, the Wawa lady brought that on, but a big one was actually I couldn't attend inside the patient's room the first appointment that Adriana had with our son in her stomach. I wasn't allowed to attend in person. I was there, and I will always believe in my heart, and I will always say till the day I die, I was there. I was there every step of the way. I didn't miss an appointment. I will always say that. I wasn't allowed in, but I didn't miss it. I was sitting out in the car. And when I was sitting out in the car, yes, I get it. COVID was going on, and they had to limit the amount of people. I had to miss my son's heartbeat, the sound of his heartbeat. I missed the first appointment. Meaning, when I say miss, I missed in person in the room. I was in the car, but in the room. So the first appointment she brought out, when they did the pictures, she brought them in to the car and showed me, and I cried in the car. One, because I'm getting to see my baby, that little pea, for the first time. But two, because she didn't have me by her side. And that broke me in a way. So come down to the heartbeat when they're listening to the heartbeat. And I had to hear that in the car. Through a phone is how I heard my son's heartbeat for the first time, through a recording. And that was tough, man. That was tough because she sat there, and such a joyful moment was heartbreaking. And as time went on, we started hearing that, hey, right now, the hospital is not allowing any guests. So there was this possibility that when she went into labor with our son, that I might not be allowed to be in the room when she's giving birth to him. And it was in the back of my mind for literally 9 months that if COVID starts to hit bad again, if COVID this, if COVID that, COVID this, COVID that, COVID was on everyone's mind, obviously. But what was on my mind was, is COVID going to keep me from seeing my son being born? And I mean, I know at the time I was saying, there's no way, it's not going to happen. There's no way. Nothing will stop me from seeing the birth of my son. But realistically, yeah, it would have stopped. Because what am I going to do? Get security on me? Get me kicked out? Get her put in a situation where now the father of her child is getting kicked out of the hospital while she's going into labor? I mean, realistically, I couldn't put up a fight. And that broke me, you know? It truly did. It hit me so hard and in such a different way that I never thought possible, because I always thought, and no one could have predicted COVID, no one, but I always thought that I would experience everything for my child. I would experience everything. I wanted to be a part of everything. And don't get me wrong, I was how I could be, because I had to change it up and I had to be a part of things differently, but I was still a part of them, right? one of the biggest struggles that I had in that moment was accepting to take a back seat. I hated it. I hated it. I hated sitting back and letting her, here comes a cat. Get him. You're knocking down my posters. I'm going to continue this. We'll probably have him jump back up again because, hey, the cats are part of the show. The toughest thing for me was knowing that Adriana, the mother of my child, had to go through all of these moments by herself. And that is what hurt most, because and she knows I wanted to be there. She knows that I was there. But she also knew how deeply it hurt me that I couldn't actually be there. So it was tough, that she had to experience those moments by herself, and I had to experience them in a way that I never imagined, right? But COVID was here. What I'm saying is that society, what started this whole thing was our society. There we go. Our society has a view on fathers as less important. It's not that view that I totally disagree with, because I do believe that moms should be number one in their child's eyes, because they do the toughest part. They do the hardest part of having a child and carrying that child for 9 months, giving birth to that child, and then nurturing that child, right? My son looks at his mom. There is no one else in this world that will ever compare. And I love that. I love that. He has such a wonderful mom. He has the best mom that he could ever have. And I absolutely love it with all my heart, the way he looks at her, the way he runs to her. That kid loves that woman so much. It's the way I love my mom. It's the way that a lot of kids love their moms, right? Most kids love their moms, that there is no one else in this world that will ever match my mom. And that is so fantastic. Truthfully, there's nothing wrong with that. Being a father, I actually prefer that, right? Because that means his mom is involved. That means his mom is doing her job, right? And I'm doing my job with being a father, being the best father that I can be. But the issue I have with it is because of poor fathers out there who do a poor job at doing their job as a parent and as a father. Now, don't get me wrong, moms can do this as well, but I'm a dad, so I want to talk to the dads here. The fathers out there who choose to just be who they are, choose to focus on their priorities and their interests rather than their child's priorities and their child's interests, create this this idea of a father and makes it like this now, and does it in a way that is unnatural and is just so wrong, because a father who does try to be the best dad that he can be doesn't have a chance, almost. In the eyes of our society, we don't have a chance. And what I mean by that is that, God forbid, but if Adriana left me right now, I do everything I can for my son, for my family. I love him. I help provide for him. I help nurture him. I help with the duties of being a parent. I've never slacked on those. Now, Can I be better? Absolutely. Everyone can be better. But in the eyes of the court, I would lose time with my son. It's just the truth of it. Because she's a great mom. Great moms trump great dads. It's just the facts. And if her and I split up, it would be, what can we do, obviously, to make sure that our son is in both of our lives, so he has both of us. God, thank God we don't have to worry about that, because our love is so strong and is so great that we don't have to worry about that. But God forbid, what if, right? There's parents out there that are experiencing this every day. There's plenty of dads out there that deserve every little bit of the restrictions with seeing their kids, because they're lousy fathers, they're lousy parents, and they're lousy men. There's moms out there, same thing, that they deserve every bit of restriction on them that's put on them. I'm not looking for like a boo-hoo here. I'm not looking for like, okay, Carlos, what about it, right? Get over it, right? What I'm doing here is shedding light on something, and it's that I take my son out. I have the privilege of working a job that I get to see my son for multiple hours every day. Absolutely love it. I'm typically home, let's say 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes before that, sometimes after, but typically 2 o'clock is when I'm home. And if I'm not home at 2, most likely it's before that. I'm getting at least 4 hours, at least 4 good hours, at least 4 to 6 hours with my son every day. I basically work a full-time job and then get to live the whole full-time responsibility of being a parent and getting to raise my son with my soon-to-be wife. And we work together to make, don't get me wrong, there's plenty moments, and I know she's probably looking at this going, pfft. There's plenty moments where Adriana carries this family. She is the rock, she is the stone to our family that we all lean on, because she's the best in the whole world at being what she needs to be for this family, right? And I wouldn't change that any way, shape, or form. Absolutely love and adore everything that she does for our family. And she definitely carries a load where it makes me realize, okay, I need to step up. I need to step up here. I get the luxury of being able to see my son. She works a couple days a week, long hours. So there's plenty of times where I get to spend, and there's days that I have off that she works during the week, that I'll decide to take my son out to eat, just him and I. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've gotten random people I've never met before, coming up to us saying, and I will quote them, "You're a good father. You're a great father. You're a great dad. You're a great dad. Your son is so lucky." One, thank you, right? Because it has nothing to do with them. It's very kind words that they're giving me. But what I think about What hits me is how many moms take their children out to eat. How many moms take more than one kid out to do shopping, to go eat, just out in public? And how many people stop those moms, go up to those moms while they're eating and say, "You are a great mom. You are a great mom"? How many? If your mom sitting at home, how many times? Seriously, you can answer the camera. Answer the camera right here. How many times have you gotten "thank you," or "you're doing a great job," or "you're a great mom"? How many times? Just someone coming up. I can tell you right now, I've gotten it 6 times. 6 times. 6. And all I did was take my son out to go eat. Crackle Barrel was one of the first times. Him and I sat at the table. He was a tiny little infant, but he's sitting there because he's a massive child. He looks like he's already 1.5, but maybe he's like, I don't know, like 6 months or something like that. Sitting there at the table with me, and we're eating, and a lady comes up and says, "You are a great dad for taking your son out." How many times has a mom gotten that? I'll answer for you right now. The answer is most likely 0. The answer, unless she looks like she is way over her head with like 5 children, most of the comments that they're getting, that moms are getting, are "good luck," or "you got your hands full." Come on now. You think they don't know that? You think that a mom who is dealing with the children screaming and crying and wanting, can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? Right? The bobble of the head that they make you do. You think that they don't know that they're stressed out, that this is a lot? It really eats me up inside, because all I did was take my son out to go eat. And somehow I'm a great father for that. No, I am a great father because I love my son and will do everything to be a part of his life. Just like all the other fathers that choose to do that. The moms are the great mothers because they choose to love their children and be a part of their lives. You know what? I'm going to go off script here. Usually write down a script. We're going to go off script here. If you're listening to this right now, because this hits home, right? I know dads that suck as being dads. I know them. If you're watching this right now, I'm going to speak to the dads. If you're watching this right now and you haven't talked to your children, you can't remember the last time you saw them or talked to them, turn off the video. Turn this video off. Stop listening. Delete this podcast because this podcast isn't for you. Call your child. Go be a part of their lives, right? Because you suck as a person and as a human being, because your children need you. You're creating such hatred in a child that you have no idea what you're ruining, because you're too focused on yourself. And I've heard it before. My child is better off without me. Bullshit. Excuse my language, but bullshit. Okay? If you choose not to be in your child's life, there's no excuse that you can give, because it's only an excuse. Everything that you're saying is nothing more than an excuse. and you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be completely ashamed of yourself. But I will say this, if you're still listening, because I know I told you to turn it off, call your child. Go see them. Go be a part of their lives. Go try. Because the only time that it's too late is when there's no time at all. And that means when your clock strikes 0. That's when you're out of time. That's when it's too late. So while you're breathing, while you're still able to fall asleep and wake back up, there's time. So go be a part of your child's life. And we are back. I had to compose myself a little bit because that topic that we were just talking about hits me at home, right? Now, I do want to just state this real quick. I'm not talking about my dad. My dad is absolutely fantastic. When I say it hits home, unfortunately, I do know a couple of them dads that I pray, I hope that they can turn it around. Right. So anyway, moving on to the next segment. TWS, this week's Spotlight. I am super excited to talk about this week's Spotlight, and that is of a very dear friend of mine. We used to work together. We built such a good relationship, and she truly is just such an amazing person. And she is an artist, and she's a hand lettering artist. She's really good at what she does, and she deserves the recognition for it, and she deserves the attention for it, and the audience for it as well, because her and her husband are artists, and they truly are talented. I guarantee you would see their work and you'd go, wow, that's amazing, right? So I got my notes here again because I don't want to get anything wrong when I talk about people's companies and things like that. But this week's Spotlight is Haldeman Haüs. A very dear close friend of mine named Ashley. We used to work together. She is a supporter of this podcast. She's a supporter of the things that I do. I can't tell you enough that having people like that in your life is just brings you up in so many different ways that it truly is amazing. So make sure to check them out. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. They have a website. What it is it's art. It's beautiful art. Ashley, again, is a hand lettering artist. And the website is going to be of, I believe, mostly her things. I don't know if Randy is. I should have looked a little bit more. And you'll just have to check it out for yourself, because Ashley's work is phenomenal. And she's made so many different things for my family. She made a sign for him that we have for my son. I mean, there's all kinds of things that, like, it's like a birth. I forget what it's called, but it's like a birth, like a sigil. It's absolutely just amazing, the amount of work that they put into stuff. So you got to check out her art. You got to check out their website. And more importantly, they're coming out. Ashley is coming out with a podcast. It's called Haldeman Haüs, the podcast. You'll have to check out the writing down below in the description, because they do spell house. I don't know how to say the U, so I'm not going to try to. But they do spell it differently. You're going to have to just check out the spelling so you can get it correctly. But they're coming out with a podcast, and if you like this podcast, you will like and love their podcast. So I'm super excited for her podcast to come out. I'm super excited to listen to it, and you'll get to really feel the emotion that she has, feel what she's feeling and what she's thinking and things like that. So check them out on Instagram at Haldeman Haüs, Haldeman.House. Check out their website, www.haldemanhaüs.com, or on Facebook. Haldeman Haüs is their page. So check out the spelling below. Give them a look. Check out their website. Check out the art and be amazed. I promise you, you will find something on there where you're like, whoa, it will catch your eye, and it will make you think about getting something done, because she does create it herself. So I know you can reach out to her and say, hey, I'm looking to this, and she might be able to do it for you. There was an old logo that they made up for me when I was in the gaming and was streaming gaming, and they wrote my my gaming tag and created a logo for me, and it's absolutely amazing. So make sure to check them out, give them a like, give them a follow, and give them a chance. The next topic I want to talk about is this crazy lady at Suns. This crazy freaking lady at Suns. I talked about Suns before. Suns is this awesome ice cream store down the street from our house. The ice cream, the people are so obsessed with this ice cream place, right? I take my son there. We're going to check it out. We're going to get some ice cream. We've went like probably 4 to 6 times. We're going to take a brief time out because my darn cat just knocked down the light. So we'll pick this story back up right after this. And we are back. I apologize. My cat knocked down my my backlight. That is giving me a little bit of light here. Let me fix this because I knocked it over. This crazy lady was at Suns. I took my son to Suns, and I took my son to Suns to get some ice cream. And when we get to get there, we order the ice cream. I'm holding him. He's like 32 pounds. Massive child. Talked about this before. I'm holding him, waiting for the ice cream to come out. And all of a sudden, this lady comes up to us, comes up to me, and I don't even remember what she first said, but basically she comes up to me and she starts the conversation. I go, okay, yeah, and at first she's being nice and she's talking and things like that, and then out of nowhere, like something switched, something flipped, right? And she started talking about how she just lost her job, she just got evicted, she doesn't have anywhere to stay, she's living out of her car, she's suing her job for, they didn't know that she was pregnant, but she lost that kid, her other kid got taken away from her, and she wants a son so bad because she misses her son, so she tried to have another son, but she ended up having a miscarriage, and she would do anything to have a son again. She's saying all this while I'm holding my son. And then the words come out, I would kill for a son. She says, I will kill for a son, for another son. What? Wait, what? I'm holding my son right here, and she's letting out curse words, and all these different things are coming out. Like her brother just lost her son, and all these other things, and like I couldn't even keep up with the story, and I'm standing there trying to get away from this lady, trying to get away from the conversation. I go, oh, okay, well, I'm sorry, and have a good day. And I kept saying, oh, okay, all right, well, I gotta go. Like, it's like trying to get off the phone, and you can't because they keep you on the phone. And I'm trying and trying and trying, and I cannot shake this lady. And she's staring at my son with me holding him, saying, I would do anything to have a son again. I would kill to have a son again. It scared the hell out of me. I mean, we're talking about a skinny lady. Okay, she's skinny. Was I scared for my life? No. But you don't know. You don't know what someone's capable of who's desperate like that. I don't know if she's on something. I don't know if she needs help. You know what I mean? And I said, ma'am, sorry to hear that. And I hope for the best for you, but I have to go. And I grabbed my son's ice cream. I didn't even get a chance to get mine. I grabbed his was ready, and we left. She started following us. Oh, I'm parked next to you. I said, how do you know which car is mine? She goes, oh, I saw you pull up. And now I'm like, whoa, this is getting beyond me at this point. Whoa, wait a minute. You watch me pull up. You watch me get out of my car. I'm now getting like a feeling the whole time. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. I'll tell you what. Before I had a child, I would have been like, okay, see ya. Not worried whatsoever, right? I would have got in my car. I would have left and said, see ya, whatever. This lady is crazy. Now that having a child, it makes you soft, right? But it also changes your mindset. And I've talked about this before. I got in the car, and when I put him in his seat, I kept checking over my shoulder. She was parked on the other side of the car where my driver's seat was. And I kept thinking, what if she gets out of her car and jumps in my car when I'm walking around it? So I locked the door. When I put him in, I locked the door, and then I unlocked it when I went on the driver's side. And I got in, and then I locked it again. And then when I backed out of the Suns, I left, and I took the longest way possible to get to my house. And then I parked in a completely different driveway. We have multiple driveways in our house. I parked in a different driveway that she couldn't see from the main road. I kept checking the road to see if she followed me. I have cameras at my house. Kept checking the cameras, kept checking the doorbell camera. Every time that went off, there was a package being delivered, and my heart stopped because I thought it was this lady. It haunted me in a way that it was sickening, because this lady freaked me out so much that I was scared for my son's life. I was scared that this lady was going to try to take my son from me, and I was ready I would fight anyone who tried to lay a hand on my son and try to take him from me. But it still got me going. I was like rageful almost, to where like I called Adriana. She was at work, and I said, do you have a second? And she was like, yeah, what's wrong? And I said, listen, this lady, and I told her blah, 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 blah. And she was like, what? I called my mom, and I said, Mom, where are you? She was like, I'm at work. And I said, I gotta talk to you. And she was like, what's wrong? And then I told her, this lady, blah, 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 right? This lady screwed my head up so bad that I kept thinking, I was like, oh my God, I'm turning into this lady. I am becoming crazy, like the Crazy Sons lady now. She's making me crazy. I'm not crazy, you're crazy. No, you're not crazy, I'm crazy, right? That's the kind of thing she was making me do. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This lady has me so paranoid right now that I'm focusing on people walking across the street on the sidewalk and looking for a blue car to see if it's hers, see if it's her. Like, absolutely craziness. Crazy Sons lady, if you're listening, come on, man. Why are you doing this to me? No, seriously though, it got me like so worked up in the sense to where I was like this lady is freaking crazy. She's crazy. So one thing I did do is I did call the ice cream store and I did say, hey, you do have a lady who is sitting in your parking lot who is striking up strange conversations with your guests, with your customers. And it made me very uncomfortable. I just want to give you a heads up because I mean, all her stuff is in her car, which, I do pray that she finds that she's given the help that she needs, because it's obvious that she needs help in some way or form, whether that's housing or just someone to talk to, right? And maybe that's all she's looking for, and I'm not trying to downplay that, but I'll just say that the way that she was coming about it was, listen, you're making it sound like you want my son, right? Because the way that you keep talking about it, and that's what freaked me out. That's what was making it too much for me. So I called them and I said, listen, like, just a heads up, because if she goes out of her car to talk to someone else, I just want you to be aware, because she's striking up very strange conversation. I did pull sort of a Karen. I didn't ask for anything. I didn't want anything. I was just giving them a heads up. I wasn't going to call the cops because she didn't do anything wrong in that moment. But it was just so someone else is more aware. They said that that they thought that we knew each other. They were like, "Oh man, I thought you guys knew each other because she came up to you like nothing." And I said, "Yeah, no, I've never met this lady in my life." And they were like, "Well, yeah, she didn't even buy anything from us." And I was like, "Well, that's even more of a red flag." Regardless of that, you know, I hope she does find the help that she needs, and I'm not trying to downplay her situation, because to her it is tough right now. But regardless if it's tough or not, you scared the shit out of me, and that's where when you start looking at my son, saying that you kill for a son, that's where I draw the line. So yeah, I don't play that game. But yeah, I didn't want to spend too much time talking about just different topics. I did want to kind of ease this episode back into the flow of things, because we did have a big episode 5, having Mykayla on. So this episode and the next couple episodes are going to be just me, and I'll bring back more content to have between just you and I, and we can have those stories, we can have those conversations. And I know in today's episode, you probably weren't ready for the real content that I talked about earlier in this episode. And if that's not what you're feeling, I apologize to you, but then again, you know, it means something to me, and it was something I wanted to talk about. So, if you have a story that you would like to share with the podcast, send us a message on Instagram or comment on our YouTube videos. Send me a message on YouTube as well. Love to hear the stories. I would love to share a couple. And we've shared a couple here on the podcast already. But if you have a story that you would like to share, your gray story, send it in, and we might be talking about it next episode. That, for the most part, is going to wrap up today's episode 6. We've been doing this for 6 weeks now. As I said last episode, hopefully every 5 episodes we're going to have a guest on. Episode 20 is going to be a big one. It is actually going to be the season finale. Season 1 finale, episode 20. So make sure you mark your calendars for episode 20, the season finale. We will be back with season 2 afterwards. Now, episode 20 does end the week of the 27th, right? That Thursday. I don't know if I'll jump right into season 2, or if there'll be some time in between. I'm also thinking about doing a couple other different things that I'm panning out, trying to straighten out, things like that. But for the most part, with this episode, and if I hit this microphone one more time, I might throw it. For the most part, with this season, it's been straightforward, about 40 minutes to an hour each episode. But episode 20 is going to be that big one, man. That's going to be that season finale, episode 20, the day before or the day after our wedding, whichever day I decide to record. But it's going to be a special, special episode that I'm super excited about. But more importantly, because I'm getting married, and I'm super excited to marry, honestly, the woman of my dreams. Adriana, if you're watching this, I can't wait to marry you. I can't wait to be your husband, and I can't wait to prove to you that I'm worth that title. So I hope you all have a wonderful Thursday. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. If you haven't already, follow us on Instagram at The Gray Podcast, at thegray.podcast. Follow us on YouTube, YouTube/ blah, 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 blah. I'm not even going to do that. You can check the link down below. Check us out on anchor.fm/ The Gray Podcast. That's where you can support us. That's where you can listen to all of our episodes. You can listen on Spotify. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. So as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And welcome to The Gray.